G'day guys, from where we left off, we were just about to do Suzanne. We weren't going to do Suzanne. I'm sorry. I feel ashamed now. I should probably restart this, but it doesn't matter. G'day guys. Welcome back to our tutorial. So where we left off, we were going to UV Unwrap, we were going to seam map, we're going to texture, we're going to normal map, all of it for Suzanne. We're going to make her look beautiful. And that the running question has been, how would you do such a thing? It's amazing. It is truly a beautiful process. So we already know the basics. I'm thankful that we don't need to go through them again, because I practically go through them for every tutorial I do. I should probably reset the time. Anyways, so we know our basics. Well, I don't know, I suppose we can just straight away get into it. One thing I wanted to do is, because if we look at Suzanne, we can immediately come to the conclusion that she is the exact same on the other side. So this side, this side is the exact same as this side. And well, to save time, we can mirror. We can grab mirror modifier, and we can just make it so this side does the exact same as the other side. But the thing is, we need to delete one side. So I'm going to delete this left side here. I'm just going to select half of it, not the whole half. I just, because I have vertices select, I'm going to select most of the half, not that middle line though. I'm going to press X and delete vertices. So now we have half of Suzanne. And now we want to go into our modifier tool, which is our wrench, add modifier, mirror. Oh, look at that. It's exactly on the same side. And if I were to move one vertex, I can see that it's doing the exact same on the other side, which is exactly what we want, so we can now use it as a time saver. Generally, I stay away from the whole mirroring idea with my proper 3D models, because it adds a very unnecessary line through the middle. But because Suzanne already had that line, there's no point in not doing it. So yeah, first things first, I'm actually going to completely make this eye separate. I do not like it when I have, oh, Suzanne is onesie. So I don't really like it when I have things on the same UV coordinates when they're different objects. So the eye is actually the only separate object. Even though the ear and the mouth and the nose look like it, they are not separate objects. So I'm going to quickly open up my UV image editor. What we need to do is we need to figure out how we're going to UV unwrap it. We need to figure out how we're going to do the seams. We need to figure out how we tell it unwrap to a, like, where it needs to disconnect its vertices and all that sort of stuff. And if you were watching my previous tutorial, you would already know, oh yeah, this is confusing bit. I can't really explain because it's actually really complex about the whole visualization of how things would connect. But what I can do is I can tell you how to do it, which kind of, I think, defeats the purpose of a tutorial, because people would come to this tutorial thinking, oh, I can learn how to finally UV unwrap my human or whatever, but right now we are UV unwrapping a monkey, which may not have the same principle as the human. So you obviously need to know how to do this off your head and just figure out for yourself. And using the things that we learnt from the sphere and the cube, we can combine them together to figure out in our heads how to do the UV unwrapping for this. So there's multiple ways you can actually UV unwrap Suzanne and still have them connecting pieces and not being too confusing. So one thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to select with my edge select a vertex down the middle, all the way through the middle until we get to this point, the point that I'm at right now. And then I'm going to start going left, because I want to say, yes, I want that one to disconnect. And should we go? Yes, we will go up. Yep. Yeah, do it up to there. Okay, that's perfect. And then that is really it for the middle section. Not fully. Don't get the wrong idea yet. Gonna put one there. Oh, I'm trying to think. Do we want one there? Do we want to keep going and then put one there? No, we don't want to put one there. Yep, just leave that like that. I'm getting really confused myself. I do have a previous one which I showed myself how to do it, because I had a test model sort of thing. And because if you're going to do a tutorial, you should really do it beforehand. I learned that lesson. I'm going to do the ears, which is going to be around her ears. See, I can't really explain it because it is really confusing how to actually properly do unwrap Suzanne, because it's it's actually one of the beginner complex models for unwrapping. So as you get to humans, you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I give up. And that's practically the ear done for the most part. Yeah, I'll say that's the ear done. We need to do the forehead. So, no, not the middle one. Not the middle one. That one. That one. That one, that one. No, we don't. Take that back. Take that back. I don't want to do it like that. We'll leave that like that. And we want to come down here and we want to do the nose. The nose is a bit of a bugger. I hate this bit. I remember how we did the nose before, but it didn't work quite to how I wanted it to. Perfect. So that's the nose, and now we need to do the mouth. No, we don't. And actually, I think that's it, if I am correct. And now if we press Ctrl E, mark same. Now the thing that we want to do is we want to apply our bloody thing. Oh, and also if you want, we got, mark our seam on our eye. Yep. Now, if I press U, unwrap. Yeah, the ear. No, actually, the ear is working properly. Oh, we're seeing a bit of overlapping. So, if you see overlapping in your UV unwrap in your UV map, that means that you have done something wrong. I'm not surprised. I mean, I always screw things up. So one thing that I want to do is I want to fix that. I'm going to delete that. So I'm not going to delete it, I'm going to select these. I'm going to press Ctrl E, clear seam. Now if I press U unwrap, it just becomes a lopsided mess. Actually, I think I don't don't think I did it enough. Yeah, I'm just gonna go up to there, and then press Control E, mark same, U, unwrap. There we go. We now have no overlapping in our texture, in our texture coordinates. Not even in our ears, which I was kind of expecting considering how we have the problems of that. We have the mouth, we have the eyes. Well, we don't have the eyes because those are a separate model, but yep. And now we have our UV unwrap done. And we can just like straight up apply a texture if we wanted. But what we're going to do is we're going to copy Suzanne. So we're going to press Shift D. We're going to call this Suzanne High. So Suzanne's pretty high right now. I mean, she's just like really smooth. So yeah. So if I turn off the viewport for Suzanne, so I'm going to copy these, Suzanne High, high, and I make that high poly. So I apply the mirror, subdivision surface, 3. So yep, and if we turn off the low poly eye, we see Suzanne looks really smooth. She looks really great. She's in her fullest. But the thing is, the problem that we're experiencing right now is, although this would be the ideal model, if we see up here we have 32,000 vertices. That is unacceptable for any game or anything. Not really. Animation and movies and stuff like that, they don't really care how many vertices you can use, like how many vertices you have, just as long as you can actually edit, still be able to edit with it, sort of thing. But if we were like say to want Suzanne in our game, we need to have it a low poly, but we want it to look high poly. We want to trick the audience into thinking that is really high poly, that looks really great and everything, instead of being that blocky mess that it normally is. So we need to fake out normals again. So practically by having our high thing, our high one and our low one. By the way, turn off the eyes from both the camera and the viewport, because if you have another model and if you have another model in the scene and you're not using that in order to tell the UV for the UV coordinates, it can screw up the normal map sometimes. So it's important that you don't have anything else viewable apart from the things that you're going to use for the normal map, and like use as the high poly one that's going to render the normal map onto the low poly one, and the low poly one. That is all that you really need in the scene. So firstly, we need to make another texture on our UV map, because if you remember before with the earth and everything, yeah, I'm just going to call this Suzanne. Oh, Suzanne texture, normal. And we're going to keep it at 1024 by 1024, because we don't really need a high resolution. We're going to press F3. I'm just going to save this into Blender tutorials. Done. Nailed it. And of course now we just select a high, a low, and we just bake. Right. One thing that I forgot. As you can see, it looks terrible. We're seeing some issues like this where it's like raising up and everything. The reason that is because we haven't told this to have smooth shading yet. And when it doesn't have smooth shading, it gets a little bit confused, and it just sort of like tries to make each individual vertice like sort of raise up in order to be like have the looking of the geometry of the high one. So that's why you're seeing where each edge and vertice line there is, it's a lot darker or a lot lighter on one side. So if we turn on smooth shading under edit, under our tools, press smooth shading for our Suzanne, not our high poly one, just Suzanne, and then we can bake. And Oh, looks 10 times better. It looks so much better now, and we can just save that image so that we can do it next. The ear kind of looks a little bit weird there. There's a bit of problems going on, but that's no problem. We can survive. So now we have our normal map. Yay! But what if we wanted to create a texture using the same shadows that the high poly one gets rendered if there's ambient occlusion, and we wanted to like paste a previous texture, I don't know, like a wood texture over it? How would we go about doing so? That's a great question. My family probably think I'm a weirdo talking to myself. That's if you change the bake mode to ambient occlusion and you still have the high poly and the low poly selected, if you press bake again, you get the same shadows as if there's ambient occlusion on the scene, and where you get the shadows where the stuff isn't quite reaching it onto your low poly. So that's pretty interesting. And you'd think, well, why can't that texture alone just sort of fake the shadows of it? Well, it's because these are pre-rendered shadows, while a normal map will constantly be rendering the shadows, because the sun can, say, revolve around it and it would look different from each individual angle. But if we had the shadows just pre-rendered, every time the sun like revolves around it, you're gonna be seeing practically the exact same thing until the sun is on the other side of the model, in which case it would just be completely black. Okay, now we need to save this. I'm just gonna call normal texture instead of, so it's Suzanne texture. Save that. Now what we can do is, if we find it, which is hard drive, Blender, tutorials, I'm gonna edit with GIMP. Everyone should have GIMP if they've followed my tutorials by now, because GIMP is the best. Or you could have Photoshop. It doesn't matter. Either one is good. And if you have Photoshop but specialize in GIMP, I recommend using GIMP, because GIMP is the best and cheap because it's free. And I should stop talking now. Okay, so I just found a random wood texture on the internet. I already have this texture like somewhere on my computer, and I could just randomly find it. But I was just sort of going through the process, so now you know. I'm just gonna quickly delete these because I don't need these now. So now we have this open in GIMP, and we want to get this one open in GIMP. So if we, pretty sure if we drag, yep, just simple click and drag. I'm gonna move this using the move tool. Everyone should know how to use GIMP. Follow my tutorials and you wouldn't know how to use GIMP, but it's fairly simple. It's a little bit like Photoshop, just, I don't know, I think lacking in a few features, but I would say advanced in a few features. It's pretty cool. Anyways, we're gonna scale this down because this is too big of a texture for our Suzanne model at the moment, because it's a seamless texture for a reason, because we want it to be able to connect onto each other. So we don't want our wood to be too big on Suzanne's. I'm just gonna scale this down to about 400. Yep, 400. 400. Geez, scale. And I'm gonna go filters, map, tile, 1024 by 1024. Don't want to create a new image. Perfect. Oh, okay. Of course you would. It always creates a line there for some reason, like where it connects, because it doesn't properly connect them all. Anyways, we have our texture for our wood texture, which is just going to move over about that. How can we do that though? How can we have this rendered onto this using the shadows and everything? It's actually a simple tool, and it's under mode, and if you go normal, make that multiply. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, it's amazing. How does that work? I don't know. Kind of looks like Suzanne has teeth. It's awesome. Yep, it's a pretty cool tool. And now I can just overwrite Suzanne texture. I'm going to discard changes because I've already saved it. And if I go into the texture panel, no, the material panel, add a new material, go into the texture panel now, and we go and find that picture that we just made, which is Suzanne texture there. And we're also going to open up our Suzanne normal. There it is. UV map. Everyone should already know how to do this. I don't know why you'd follow part 2 of the tutorial if you didn't watch the first one. But I don't know. Maybe that's what you do. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to force you to watch it. You might still be able to learn something from here. I don't know. Most of my talking came from the first tutorial. So yeah. Anyways, we should already know how to, insert textures. So I don't really need any context to what I'm doing. It's done. And we don't want our specularity on. By the way, we're going to quickly do the same with the eyes. You should know how to do it with the eyes. I'm just going to pause. And okay, I've done the eyes. I've done the ambient occlusion bit and sort of stuff. I'm just going to quickly add a new material. I've also done the normals. You should already know how to do them. If you don't, just like sort of reverse back in the tutorial and just be like, that's where I went wrong. Sort of thing. So UV map, image sampling, normal map, best quality, no color, don't want it as a color, and open Blender. Where is it? Tutorials. Eye textures. It's sort of not that round. That doesn't really matter. But where it is round, which is like right there, we're going to put it in eye texture. If doing so shall be necessary. You don't have to if you don't want to. You just feel like, I don't care. Let's get on with it. And you know what? I'm not even going to bother putting an eye texture because this is a tutorial and that's just sort of a finishing touches sort of thing. Okay, we've done the eyes and we've got our high poly Suzanne now. So it's the moment of truth. Will or will it not look good? Surprise! It looks amazing. Not really. It looks kind of weird with the white eyes and everything, but it looks really smooth and everything, and it actually sort of worked. So that is how you UV unwrap a model. A Suzanne model. It's looks pretty smooth and everything, and I don't know, you can't really complain apart from without ears, because as it got closer it shrunk where the textures would be, so the texture looks extremely big on Suzanne's ears, but that doesn't matter. She's alright with it. She's like, I don't care, I have big ears anyways. So yeah, that is how you UV unwrap texture, normal map and everything for a cube, a sphere, and Suzanne. Now I could have taught you how to do it with a cylinder, and I could have taught you how to do it with a like everything that is in here, like an icosphere, cylinder, cone, torus, and sort of stuff, but there wouldn't really be much point to it, because once you understand the cube and the UV sphere, you sort of just understand everything. Except as soon as you, like, if you actually understood how to do Suzanne's, then you're pretty well right for almost anything. So welcome, and why am I saying welcome? I swear I've like dyslexia. Cause thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching my idioticness. And thank you for being a part of the people who support my videos and sometimes encourage me to do more. So thank you very much. If you have something that sort of is in need of how to do, I saw someone actually finally recommended me on what I should do, which is a shield. I should do a tutorial on how to make a shield, which I will. Fear not, it will be coming once I decide how and what shield to make. And yes, but if you want something be done in tutorial form on Blender and I know it, I generally have the gist of everything in Blender, I will most likely do a tutorial on it, just as long as it's not the game engine. God, no, not the game engine. I don't want the game engine. Blender game. No, I don't know it. I can't do it. But if you want something else, feel free to ask me in the comments, and I will most likely do it if I have enough free time. Anyways, as I've already said before, thank you so much for watching. And stay tuned for more tutorials to come out in the following weeks. One to be on a gun, one to be on a house, one to be on a shield. Oh, I have a lot of tutorials. They will be out soon. See you guys next time.